Would you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name for Madam Court Reporter?
Daniel Lawrence White. Last name is W-H-I-T-E.
Thank you. Mr. White, where do you live?
I live in Callahan.
So you are a resident of Nassau County?
Yes, sir, I am.
How long have you lived in Nassau County?
Well, I moved back a little over a year ago, but I was born and raised in Nassau County.
And in fact, did you graduate from high school, West Nassau High School?
Yes, I did.
What year was that?
1995.
Okay. Do you have any children?
I do. I have a daughter. She's 25 years old. I have a grandson that's 2.
Are you currently employed?
No, I'm 100% total and permanent disabled.
Okay, and that's from your military service, correct?
It is, yes.
All right. If you could tell the jury about that military service, what branch did you serve in?
I was in the Army. I was an Army Ranger. That's what I enlisted to be.
What years did you serve as an Army Ranger?
From 95 to 99.
And did you have any overseas deployments?
No, I didn't. I went to Panama for some training, but no combat deployments.
And your disability is based upon a diagnosis of PTSD, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm rated 75% PTSD.
And if you could tell the jury, that was from, as I understand it, an injury that you suffered doing jungle training in Panama?
Yes, it was a training incident. Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happened with that?
I fell off a cliff and was injured and was no longer able to be an Army Ranger.
And that was pretty much the only job you'd ever wanted to have?
That's all I ever wanted to do.
Did you, after that happened, did you have some struggles of your own with alcohol and drugs? I
did. It really took off at that point.
You say took off. What were you doing?
Drinking a lot while I was still, in the military. That seemed like the normal thing to do. We were allowed to, even able to drink underage, as long as we didn't leave the barracks. And so we started drinking pretty heavily at an early age. And
at some point after you left the service, did you start self-medicating with drugs?
I did. Yes, I did.
And I guess that led to a run-in with the law?
Yes, a few.
But specifically, did you get arrested for possession of heroin in 2019?
I did. Yes, sir.
And where did that arrest occur?
Here in Nassau County.
And what was the result of that arrest?
I was placed in Veterans Treatment Court in Nassau County, and then I was transferred to Duval County because I didn't have a place to live. So I went to the 5-Star Veterans Center.
Okay, so at the time you were essentially homeless, and you were able to get into the 5-Star Veterans Center?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Mr. Patrick McDowell, seated at the defense table?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, how do you know Mr. McDowell?
I know him from Veterans Treatment Court and from the 5-Star Veterans Center. We lived together.
How did you meet him?
I met him in VTC. Actually, I was sitting next to David Abramowitz, who was here yesterday when I met Patrick.
So David Abramowitz, the mentor, was he a mentor to you as well?
He was.
And to Patrick McDowell?
Yes.
He's the one that introduced you?
Yes, sir.
And then at some point, you came to live, not together, but you were both living at the 5-Star Veterans Center?
Yes, sir.
And what was your relationship like with Mr. McDowell?
We were friends. We are friends.
Would you consider yourself close friends or good friends?
Yes.
During that time?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to discuss your personal struggles with PTSD with each other?
Yes, we did.
What did Mr. McDowell tell you?
Well, we didn't talk a lot about any combat experiences or any,
Did he tell you about people he'd served with who had committed suicide?
Yes, yes.
And the impact that had on him?
Yes.
How did you perceive Mr. McDowell to be doing in his treatment at 5-Star and through the Veterans Treatment Court prior to COVID in March of 2020?
Well, I thought he was doing great. A lot of us were doing really well.
Did he seem to be taking it seriously?
Yes. Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was committed to sobriety, it seemed to you at that time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And obviously March 2020 sort of changed everything across the world. Everything came to a stop, is that right?
Correct.
How did that impact people who were participating in Veterans Treatment Court at the time?
Well, I know how it impacted me. I went back out and started using drugs again.
Okay, so you kind of fell off the wagon at that time?
I did, yes.
Is it fair to say you were actually at one point using drugs during that time with Mr. McDowell?
Yes, sir.
When COVID starts, prior to COVID, are you having in-person meetings and in-person treatment and showing up to give drug tests, that sort of thing?
Yes, sir. We had random drug screens. We had to call every morning, and if our color came up, we'd have to go drop, usually at least 2 times a week.
And what about the counseling and the in-person?
Yeah, we were required to, attend court a certain amount of times. Or, when we first started, we had to go weekly, and then, as we moved up in phase, we were allowed to go, longer spans before going to court. So, and then I think, ended up being once a month.
So prior to COVID, there was a lot of structure and accountability that was in place?
Yes, there was, definitely.
Did that change after March 2020?
It did. It just stopped for a little while. It just completely shut down. It's like everybody didn't know what to do. The VA shut down.
Other than you and Mr. McDowell, were there some other veterans who also kind of fell off the grid there from 5-star and the Veterans Treatment Court?
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point, I guess you were kind of heading down that same path that Mr. McDowell was heading down, correct? And I guess you decided to make a turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you re-enrolled in another treatment facility somewhere?
Yes, I went to an inpatient treatment facility.
Okay. What was that called?
Heroes Mile.
All right. So you've had these struggles with addiction, and you've relapsed before.
Yes, I have.
Have you relapsed more than once before?
I can't tell you how many times.
Now, when you're trying to get sober, prior to the relapse, are you genuinely trying to get clean? Are you trying to get sober? Are you trying to take advantage of these opportunities that are being offered to you?
Yes, each time you're very serious about it, like in your mind, that's what you want to do.
It's not anyone's intention to set out to relapse and fail, is it?
No, sir.
And I believe that recently you had a death in your family in December, is that right? That maybe caused you to kind of get off track again?
Yes, sir.
And have you since been able to right the ship?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And lastly, just what would you like this jury to know about the Patrick McDowell that you knew at the Veterans, during your time at the Veterans Treatment Court and at 5-Star Veterans Center?
Man, wow. I feel like Patrick is a good guy. I really liked him. And we got along. We talked a lot. And, this is very difficult for me because I feel like that's me sitting over there. Had I not made, a different decision, and it's tough, but I think that, he loved his boy. We talked about that a lot.
He talked about his love for his son with
Yes,
you?
he did. Yeah.
Was that one of the desires he had for getting clean?
Yes. Yeah. And one of the last times I saw him, he was with his son at the Veterans Center. And so, yeah, I just think that, it's a struggle. And it's difficult. It's hard to get it. And it took me a long time to get it. It's not something that you ever get on the first time, and it's hard because I did a lot of things and went down a lot of dark paths that I never thought I would go down, because of the disease of addiction and post-traumatic stress disorder. So.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you very much, Mr. White.
Cross?
Good afternoon, Mr. White.
Good afternoon.
I think you said you could be sitting right over there, except for you made the decision to get right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just one last question. You saw Mr. McDowell when he was in BTC the first time, but you also saw him after he was released from jail from Georgia in 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, he shared with you that he was beat up really bad in the Georgia jail. And quoting you, he told me he never wanted to go back to jail or he would never go back to jail.
Correct.
He told you that.
Yes.
And that was only a few months before this happened.
Yes, it was.